What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Married at First Sight, Season 17, Episode 4, Goodbye Single Life, Hello Marriage. So let's get started with Becca and Austin. Y'all, Becca is really growing on me. She is really, truly growing on me, both her and Austin both. When I first met Becca, I didn't like how she self-proclaimed herself as being quirky. I don't know why that rubbed me the wrong way. I just didn't like it. But she is quirky. And she's a lot of fun. And she's so funny. Becca is truly growing on me. So they go to their honeymoon suite, and Austin says that he feels surprisingly easy and supernatural around her. And Becca says that it feels great, and she also feels very comfortable around Austin. Now, they are definitely getting along. They make each other laugh. Would I say that there was like this hot burning chemistry between them? No, I wouldn't. But there is an attraction there. They are getting along. It is going in the right direction. Sometimes I get the feeling that Becca might be a little bit more into him than he is into her. Not to say that he's not into her. I think that he is. But I think that her attraction to him might be a little bit stronger. And I like the fact that she's very intentional with him. Like, she tells him exactly how she feels. She tells him that, she finds him attractive. She's drawn to him. I'm glad that she's not afraid to let him know exactly where she stands. And him, the same thing with her as well. So the next morning over breakfast, and by the way, there was no hanky panky. They did not consummate their marriage. They did cuddle, though. I think they did cuddle. So the next morning over breakfast, Becca tells him about her health conditions. She tells him about her endometriosis surgery and how that has left her, with pain. And she also talks about her autoimmune disorder, where her spine is attacked by her own body because her body thinks that her spine is an invader or something. So that also causes her pain. And so he was very receptive. He was making eye contact with her when she was telling him about it. He was sympathetic. He was compassionate. So he gave the correct response to what she was going through. He didn't freak out. He didn't say in his confessional how he just wasn't ready for all this. He was like, you know what? I'm here for her. It's okay. We'll get through it. So, it's time now to have brunch with the family. So with Becca's family, when Austin met with Becca's people, I don't know if it was her family or her friends, but when he met with Becca's people, they talked about her health issue, and they asked him, did Becca tell you about her health condition? And he said, yeah, she told me all about it. And I was like, cool, no worries, we'll get through it. And so her friends were like, no, you need to understand that she will downplay her medical condition, but she does go through a lot, and you need to be very cognizant of that. She does go through quite a bit with her health problems. And so he was getting a better understanding, and he said that he was going to try to get more information on the issues that she has for him to get a better understanding of what's going on with her body. And I like the fact that I felt like he was getting emotional. Like he was kind of like, oh, finally realizing what she's really going through, because she didn't necessarily, to me, I don't think she downplayed it that much, because she told him, I'm in pain and I've been dealing with this for years and I've just learned how to manage my pain. But the fact that he got emotional showed me that he was, beginning to care for her and, feeling something for her. So when Becca met with his family, now remember, Austin's parents were the ones who were dead set against him doing this process. It made no sense to them. They didn't like it. They didn't really support it. So Becca won them over, in my personal opinion. I felt like Becca really won them over, because at the end of the brunch, Becca and the mom were laughing. And the mom was the one that was really dead set against us, because she's a mama bear. She's very protective of her son. And she was basically kind of like giving off vibes of, you better not break my baby boy's heart or I'm going to find you. So she's very protective of her son, but Becca, I think, won her over. And Becca was also getting emotional with his parents when she was talking about this whole process and how vulnerable they both are, and how, she's like going to be very aware of not, she doesn't want to hurt him. She's not here to hurt his feelings or to break his heart. And I just loved it. I liked how she conducted herself and how she presented herself with his parents, because his parents were really not happy with this process. So Becca and Austin, to me, are kind of like, I might have to say, my top couple. And it's really because of Becca. She's really winning me over. Moving on to Lauren and Orion. So when they get to their hotel suite, Orion says that there is a lot of attraction between them, but he does not want sex to cloud anything. So I'm beginning to wonder if Orion is the kind of guy that maybe he's used to, like, he's used to hit it and quit it. And he doesn't want to do that. And he knows that if they jump into sex too quickly, he knows enough about himself that after that, he might get bored. So that's why he's so like, I don't want to have sex with her early on in the relationship. I'm wondering if that's where that's coming from, because when he said he doesn't want sex to cloud anything, it makes me think that maybe he's been in situations where sex did cloud everything and the relationship didn't last that long. So he wants to take it very slow with her. So when they get into bed, Lauren gets them both bonnets to wear. I thought it was so cute. So she had an extra bonnet and he put it on, and I thought it was adorable. So before they went to bed, or before they went to sleep, he asked her for a kiss. And of course she said yes. And I thought that was cute. Anyways, the next morning, but nothing happened. Obviously there was no sex. So they did talk about sex though. And it's definitely on the table. Okay. They're not opposed to it. They just don't want to do it right now because they just want their relationship to grow and they want to get to know each other better before anything like that happens between them. Now, when Orion meets up with her family for the brunch, he tells them right away that he grew up with women in his household. It was nothing but women. His father abandoned the family or left the family when he was very young. And ever since his father left, he felt very protective of his mom and his sister. So he talks about that, how he has this respect, genuine respect and love for women. And they asked him, well, how do you feel about, her being a very strong, independent Black woman? And he says, I feel honored to be her husband. So he gave the right answers. Okay. He was saying the right things. And then they talked about his financial status. And he said that, that's not a worry. It's not an issue because he always has a job. Paychecks are always coming in. And I'm just I'm beginning to kind of worry about Orion's financial situation, because to me, it's not very clear cut as far as exactly what he does and what's going on. Because with everybody else, it's like I am, I'm director of sales. I'm in human resource. I'm a teacher. I'm a nurse. I own my own bike shop. It's very clear and cut what they do. But when it comes to Orion, it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but don't worry, money's always coming in. I'm getting kind of worried about that. I'm getting very worried about that. He still lives at home with his mother because he claims that he's working towards his real estate license and his, what was it? I forgot what the other one was. Plumbing license, or becoming a plumber, electrical license. And, that's fine and dandy, but there are people who work towards that and they still live on their own. I'm not knocking the whole thing about living with your mom, but coupled that with, it's not really clear. I don't have a clear understanding of exactly what he's doing right now to earn an income. I don't know. It's kind of fuzzy. It's kind of hazy. Ryan, your professional, or what you're doing professionally, what you do for a living, it's very, very fuzzy around the edges. Moving on to Claire and Cameron. So when they get to their honeymoon suite, he tells us that he's a good reader of sexual energy and he doesn't read any at all from Claire. Claire tells us that she hasn't been in a relationship for so long. She's been single for so long. She really doesn't know what to do with the man right now. So I'm like, okay. I was kind of confused when Cameron said he didn't detect any type of sexual energy from her or any kind of chemistry from her, because she had said that she was attracted to him, that he was, handsome. Physically, she was attracted. So I'm not understanding why there's this lack of chemistry between them. So Claire's not sure if he's even attracted to her. What really gave that off was when it was time to go to bed. he just when as soon as he got into that bed, y'all, as soon as his head touched the pillow, he was out like a light. She was expecting some late night conversations, maybe a little bit of cuddling, talking about, what makes them comfortable physically, what they're expecting from each other physically, something like that, or any kind of conversation at all. That man, as soon as he got into that bed, he was out like a light. He was like, okay, good night. And that was the end of that. And it was dark in the room because it turned off the lights, but it wasn't so dark that we couldn't see Claire's big eyes blinking in the dark after he went to sleep, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. Because she was looking at him like, what? Like, what's happening here? Like, you're really going to go to bed on our honeymoon night? We're not going to talk about anything at all. He was out like a light, y'all. So the next morning, nothing happened, obviously, the night before, because he was gone, right? No cuddling, no conversation, no nothing. The next morning, Claire says that she's still really she's trying to figure him out. And they're having a conversation, and they're talking about, I guess, their expectations of one another or something. And Cameron says that he's not the kind of person to say, I love you, but he will really show you that he loves you. He says, I will physically show you, with my actions, how I feel about you. Trust me, you will have no doubts. If I love you, you will have no doubts that I love you and that I have love for you, because I will definitely show you. I'm just not the kind of person to always say I love you or talk about my feelings. And Clara says, well, in my family, we're really big on communication. We're always telling each other, I love you. We talk about how we feel about one another. So me and you, we're going to have to communicate. And so he's like, okay, whatever, I'll try to work on it. So when it comes time for him to meet with her family, her sister, I need her to relax. Maybe this is her personality to be this like on 10 all the time, but it's just giving nervous energy. I need her to kind of relax a little bit, because the way she was just shooting those questions at him, and the poor guy didn't even have a chance to answer. It was a lot. So he talks about how he's a great shower of affection. He's a great shower of love. And her family was like, no, you're going to have to communicate. Claire wants communication. You're going to have to tell her exactly how you feel. You're going to have to use your words. Okay. I mean, to me, I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me. As long as I know and I'm confident about how somebody feels about me, I don't care if they're telling me. I don't care if they're showing it to me. It really doesn't matter to me, as long as I feel the love. So Cameron's people tell her, about him. And I forgot what they said about him, but what I do remember was when she asked his people, is Cameron romantic? And they're like, we don't know. Emily and Brennan. So when they get to the room, okay, I felt like there was definitely chemistry between them. When Emily changed into her pajamas, which to me, out of all the women there, this was the most honeymoon appropriate, because it was very bridal. It was like something that a bride would wear for her honeymoon night. It wasn't just, a shirt and shorts or a big old t-shirt. It was something that, she put a lot of thought into these pajamas, and it was nothing skanky. Okay. It wasn't skanky. It wasn't explicit or anything like that. It was very appropriate. It was very, tasteful, but you could tell this was really cute, and she put thought into it, and he definitely liked it. So I thought that they were going to consummate their marriage, because they both were very open to doing that on the very first night. They both told their people at the wedding that, hey, if it's there, I'm going to take the opportunity. But that didn't happen. Even though they said after they got into the bed, they both told each other that they wanted the camera crew to leave. Nothing happened. Well, that's what they told us. I kind of am calling BS on that, but that's what they told us, that nothing happened. So the next morning, Emily says that she senses that he wants to take it slow, and she's okay with that, because that he wants to take it slow. I'm like, what? Because at their wedding, his boys told him, hey, we heard from her that she's willing to, make it happen on that very first night. And he was like, oh my God, thank God y'all told me that. He seemed really happy about it. She seemed very open to it. So I don't know what happened, but she says that he wants to take it slow, and she's happy about that. So when it comes time for brunch with the family, listening to how Brennan's family talked to Emily about Brennan, and how Brennan presented himself to her family, I kind of gather that maybe Brennan might have a temper problem. He might have a temper issue. I'm not gonna call it an anger issue because we haven't seen enough of that. But just kind of like putting together, for example, when he was sitting with her family and they were talking about Emily and her career and how much she loves to work and she works late hours and how do you feel about that? Brennan was like, well, if she's gonna be coming home late every night, we're gonna have to have a conversation about that. And the mom kind of got defensive, and the mom was kind of like, well, she loves her job. Her career is very important to her, and she puts her all in her career, as if to say, don't you dare get in the way of my daughter and her job. You know, no matter how late she wants to work or how much she wants to work, you better not say nothing about it. But he was like, well, if she's going to be coming home late every night, we're going to have a conversation about that. And then his family told her something about how Brennan is very much like, you know, set in his ways, and he's very opinionated, and he's like very like, whatever they said about him kind of made me think that he's someone that probably doesn't back down, that he has certain expectations that need to be held. And I think it was I don't know if it was his mom or her, somebody said that you have these very two headstrong people in this marriage, so it's going to be really interesting to see how it works out. So I just feel like he might have a temper problem. I don't know. Let's talk about Emily real quick. Whenever they talk about the fact, because they asked him once again, you know, how do you feel about the fact that she hasn't been in a relationship ever? And he was like, you know, I'm cool with that. What exactly does that mean, that she hasn't been in a relationship ever? Is she a virgin? Or is she just into just casual sex and no relationship? You know, no strings attached. She just, you know, sleeps with whoever she wants to sleep with and doesn't really talk to them much afterwards. Like, what does that mean, that she hasn't really been in a relationship? She hasn't been in a really serious one or any relationship at all. Like no boyfriends, no nothing, just friends with benefits all over the place. Like what the hell is going on with that? So they find out that they're going to Mexico for their honeymoon. They're going to be going to Cancun. And Emily says something about packing her fuzzy handcuffs and some other items. And I was like, okay, when it comes to the consummation of the marriage, I'm putting all my money on Emily and Brennan. I think they're going to be consummating their marriage first. And a close second is going to be Becca and Austin, if Austin is willing. So when it comes time for the honeymoon, they all gather in the lobby, and Michael joins them, the guy that got jilted at the altar. So Michael comes in, and of course he comes in without a wife, and they ask him what happened. He tells them his story, that she basically showed up at the wedding, but as soon as she got to the altar, she turned around and ran. And so they all felt really bad for him. They gave him a lot of words of encouragement, and they're basically like, do you feel like you need to have a conversation with her to find out exactly what was going through her head? He was like, I don't want to talk to that skank. Well, he didn't say that exactly. He was just like, no, I don't need closure. You know, she doesn't have to explain to me why she did what she did. She did it. That was her decision. I have to respect it. So I'm glad that how can he get that? And how can he get that like caught up in that? He doesn't even know the girl. He saw her for like 3 seconds before she ran. So, but it was really nice how they were very supportive of him, and he wished them all well on their honeymoon, and he had some really sweet words for them. He goes, I'm really jealous. He said, not because I'm not going with y'all, but because there's a lot of cuteness on this bus. And so I'm glad that they're going to give him a second chance. I'm so glad that they're going to give Michael a second chance, because he seems like a really great guy. And the wackadoodle that left him at the altar, girl, you really missed out on a great opportunity to know someone, you know, who's like, you know, pretty decent. Moving on to Claire and Cameron. So when they get to Mexico, they get to their hotel room, and already trouble in paradise, y'all. So Claire says that she really didn't appreciate how Cameron did not take her bags when they were at the airport. Not only that, but when they were going to board the plane, he was like miles and miles ahead of her. He kind of left her behind, and she had to run with her little legs, try to catch up. So he was kind of confused. He was like, well, it seemed like, you know, you didn't have a problem handling your bags, and why didn't you help me with my bags? And so she says to him, look, it's only decent for a man to help a woman with her bags. That's what you're supposed to do. And I agree. Okay, I kind of agree with that yes, why didn't he help her with her bags? But he kind of acted like you didn't ask for help. You didn't look like you were struggling. So how was I supposed to know that you wanted help for your bags? So after that, she also talks about how he wasn't holding her hand or something. And he said, well, you told me that you're not into hand holding and you're not really into like physical touch. And she's kind of like, well, yes, but no. And he's looking at her like, are you mad? He's looking at her like, is this the same? Am I talking to the same person that told me that they didn't want to hold hands, that they didn't want physical touch, and they were very strong and capable of doing whatever they wanted to do? And now she's talking about how she needs to help with her bags and she needs her hand held. So he's looking at her like he's really confused because she's giving off mixed messages. Like, what is it that you want? And then she's like, are you mad? Are you mad at me? He's like, no, I'm not mad. And I couldn't tell if he was or if he wasn't. I really couldn't tell. I don't know, but I'm just upset now that Claire and Cameron are struggling and the honeymoon hasn't even officially started yet. But I don't know. Claire seems like she might be a handful. If she's anything like her sister, she might be a handful. And then Cameron also seems like he might be a little bit full of himself. I don't know. But Cameron is tall. Cameron is he is a tall glass of water. He is extremely tall. That's a big guy. And we'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.